and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome to our August 11, 2025 board meeting. And I would like to start off with our announcements. And first off is Clear Creek Conservancy. It says Dwayne Kelly, but do we have a Dwayne Kelly proxy? Nope, then we'll move on to the Floyd Township Fire Department.
Bob Strykowski, 417 Gettysburg. Jeff could be here tonight, he's working in Kentucky somewhere, so. I know we didn't get here last month, I understand, so as of, for July totals for runs was 32 compared to 26 last year. Our run load is always increasing with the new builds. For the year of 2024, the first 6-month period, we had 172 runs. This year, the first 6-month period, we're up to 206. So we're averaging pretty close to, well, 1.5, 2 runs a day. And also, we got a grant from the Putnam County Community Foundation, and we were able to purchase 100 weather radios with that. So if anybody wants a weather radio, there's no charge for them. You just have to contact somebody at the fire department, pick one up, and they'll supply the batteries too.
Awesome.
And we're also working on another grant, new core steel to possibly get some new. And these are for Putnam County residents only right now. We get the one from Nucor, it'll probably open it up to other counties, but that's all I have.
Thank you.
I cannot believe you didn't mention the new fire truck.
Well, it's a work in progress, we're almost there. We did get a new fire engine, thanks to the board. And the old one was supposed to be picked up Friday, so we hustled our butts off to try to get everything off that truck and on a new one, and it's still sitting here. I don't know what Friday they were talking about, but they'll get around picking it up eventually.
Well, I stopped by as they were fitting that new truck and had a good chat with Jeff Brooks, and he gave me a lot of information. You'll see, I think, a good article about it in next month's highlights.
All right, Neighborhood Watch, no report. So on to HLCS with Rick Miller.
Yes, Rick Miller, 26 Gettysburg. I do have some news. Exciting news for us at HLCS. Just today, we closed the agreement for a new president for HLCS, and Jenny Lewis lives here in Jefferson Valley, has agreed to take over the company. It'll be a transitionary period. I'm not even sure how long, so I'll stick around as chairman of HLCS until she feels like she doesn't need me any longer. We still have Rachel Goss, who will still be editor for the Highlights newsletter. And we're just real excited because we got a new set of eyes and a younger set of hands. And she's an engineer by trade, so she's got some good skills, computer skills to take over some of the things I started. Maybe even make them better.
Great, thank you. Then we have Helnack with Donna McGinley.
Yeah, the first thing we have going is the boat poker run. It's this coming Saturday. If you have your registration forms, please be sure to bring them to the POA office or to the marina. You can also submit your registrations online. There's a QR code on the form, and you can do it online for $30. The fee does go up to $35 a person after August 14th. The schedule for the poker run is also on the flyer, so hopefully you'll get your registration forms in soon, and we'll see you all Saturday morning. Next thing we have is the garage sale, and believe it or not, we're already, I'm fast. Then the garage sale will be September 4th through the 6th. I will not be available, so my friend Raquel Parker-Lorian, who does an awful lot for Helnack, is going to fill in and take over the running of the garage sale. Tom and his lovely wife, Marianne, will handle the food sales and making the food, and also helping with setting up the garage sale. Half of the proceeds go to the Heritage Lake Charlie Beard Memorial Scholarship Fund. So Mary Ann and Tom are very active in helping with that. We couldn't do it without them, and it's a wonderful cause to help give towards that foundation as well. We are accepting donations from September 1st through the 3rd. At the clubhouse during normal business hours. If you need to make donations, please, and outside of business hours, please call Raquel. Her name is on the flyer, which appears in the highlights in September. And she will be glad to meet you here and accept your donations. The next thing we have coming up, believe it or not, this has been a busy time, is the Heritage Lake Fall Wine Fest. And that is going to be on Saturday, September 20th, from 7 to 9 p.m. in the Activity Center. We will not start taking reservations until August 25th. Valeria Baylor, as usual, will be taking reservations, and the information will be in the highlights in September. So you should have all the information you need on how to sign up for that. As you know, reservations usually go pretty quickly for the Wine Fest. So if you're interested, please sign up as soon as you can after August 25th.
Great.
Thank you.
Donna.
Sorry, John, I have a question. How many tacos do you have for Saturday?
We have 7.
You have seven? Oh, you got it. Nice. Nice.
And on that, I did post something in all the chatter pages and on Facebook regarding no towables, no skiing, no wakeboarding, no surfing from noon to 5 p.m. during the course of the boat poker runs. We'll post that again. It's not no wake during that time, because I don't even think the people participating in the poker run would want it to be no wake. It'd be very slow going. But it will be no towables, no skiing, no pull behinds at all from noon to 5 p.m. And then starting at 5:30 p.m., Clubhouse Cove will be no wake, idle only for the concert from 6 p.m. until dusk. Then we're on to this, oh, sure, sorry.
I forgot to mention also there is a concert starting at Cornfield Mom that we'll be playing from 6 to 8.
Great. Now we have the security report with the Sheriff's Department.
Good evening, Tom Sutherland, Chief Deputy. So we were up here 56 times on different calls related, did 6 traffic stops. The 2 biggest calls were administrative, which is basically book checks, bin checks that you guys call us up here for. And then we had deputies pull 10 special Signal 30 details, which is those deputies come up here to run radar. They're not catching people speeding all the time, but they're still pulling a complaint that shows that they're up here working and running radar for the staff and folks up here. Any questions? All right, thanks.
Thank you, we appreciate it. Now on to the presentation of agenda. If I have a motion to approve.
Motion. Second.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Passes. Then the presentation of minutes
Motion to accept.
for the July 14th board meeting first. Motion to accept? Second? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Then the July 28th meeting. Motion?
Motion accept.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Anyone opposed?
Everybody feeling?
Motion accepted or minutes accepted. Now on to the treasurer's report with AJ Stafford.
That'd be neat. Treasurer's report for the month of July. Total income is $224,197. Total expense, $224,729 for a net income, or I'm sorry, a net loss of $532 for the month. Which is typical this time of year just because we're not really receiving as many of your beginning of the year assessments and things like that. Year-to-date total revenue, $1,369,456. Total expenses, $1,186,799. Total year-to-date income in the positive of $182,657. At the end of July, our short-term cash position was $693,037. Total investments with our money market CDs, 93,347. So total cash available, $786,384.
Thank you, AJ. Then board committee reports. First, A&E committee with Linda.
Month of July, we approved 6 houses, 2 detached garage, 2 gazebos, 2 non-waterfront fences, 3 shadow box fences, 2 decks, and 1 four-season addition.
All right, anything else?
That's all.
Thank you. Then the campground, it says Rick Stevens.
Yep. Only noted is the meeting has been moved to August 23rd at 10 o'clock.
Thank you. Cleanup with Nina.
They have a shredding event on August 2nd. There was a great volunteer participation and community participation. We appreciate everyone supporting that. The next event for the Clean Up Committee is the Clean Sweep to be held on September 13th of 2025. This event will be held from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. in front of the POA maintenance building. At this event, they will not be accepting any toxic drop items. There no paint, no gasolines, no oils. They will accept TVs, mattresses, and the usual. Depending on what you're bringing, if you look at the flyer that's been shared on the Facebook pages, depending on what you're bringing, we suggest a donation anywhere from $10 to $40, depending on what it is you're bringing. And as always, we cannot do anything with the cleanup committee without volunteers. So if you would like to volunteer, contact myself or Sarah Lochner. And if you don't get a chance to contact us, but you want to help out on the day of, just show up with a pair of gloves. Thank you.
Thank you. Government with Rick Olson.
Yeah, Rick Olson, 51 Mill Springs. The only thing I had to report is that the paving that was scheduled to be completed is now completed, namely the Canyon Church Road down to George Hill. So it's got a racetrack now.
I drive it every day. It's so nice.
Yeah, really nice. I wish they would have, I told Clint, I wish they would have done the part just south of the tracks too.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah, that's bad.
It's worse than the rest of
Yeah.
it was. But he said, yeah, I agree, so maybe they'll get that in the next go around. I guess they did the one to the west of the campground too, so they're all completed for the year, and we'll just continue to talk to them about other improvements in the area. So that's all I have. I don't have a report for long-term plan.
Okay. Thank you. So Lake Committee with Mike.
Okay, so the extra cleats have been installed at the restaurant parking docks. It cost the planning committee $480. Chase and Hayes installed those. Too costly for bumpers on those docks for now, so that's been tabled. Security boat motor, I guess, apparently was broken, so that got repaired and it's up and running. I've seen them buzzing back and forth. The account balance on Lake Planning Committee is about $33,000 and change. Tyler Land was talking about how successful the Veterans Fish Tournament was, how it went, 21 boats on the water on July 5th. July 13th, the fishing tournament had 9 boats. Merchandise sales are doing well at the marina. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Rick, the Feast and Ski raised about $20,000.
Yes, we're still waiting on a few vendors to come through with their promised funds,
Yeah.
but I think we're guaranteed 20,000.
Yeah.
What was the goal?
15,000.
Yeah.
All right, is that it?
That's it.
Then we have Clean Water with Phil McKinley.
Yes, Phil McKinley, 330 Patriots Landing. My comments are kind of old news for people who attended the last Lake Committee where I did a report, or who have read the highlights in detail. But our bacteriological study for this year, again, was very positive. Thanks to Ken for making some collections. We had 2 viable samples this year. And I actually we did something a little different. We could make the argument that you should do the same time and place every year for a long-term study. But our results have been so positive that we tend to try different locations and different times looking for any possible problems. And so this year we did a little earlier in the season. It was after a considerable rain event, so there was a lot of water coming into the lake, and also when the lake was unusually warm with a temperature at the time of collection of at least 85 degrees. So I kind of held my breath to be sure that the results weren't higher than we've had in the past. They were pretty good.
And so for sake of comparison, I have to remind everyone that before the Olympics in the River Seine, the bacteriological count was about 3,400. They tried to get it down to 1,000 to have safe swimming. Most beach managers in Indiana will close beaches if they're more than about 400, even though there's no definite guideline from the state. The EPA likes to have individual counts less than 235. They like to have average counts less than 135. And our higher count in the North Fork was 11, and our count in the main body of the lake was 2. So our results were again basically amazing. And in the article in the highlights, I again quoted the DNR representative from the past who said, based on similar results, that we might just have the cleanest lake in the state.
Boil it and drink it. It tastes sweet.
Maybe good for your gut microbe.
And obviously we're looking
No
at
probiotics
E. coli
needed.
bacteria, which is the primary one that is used for determining safe water for swimming.
Thank you. Then we have no report for long-term planning. On to siltation. I don't think we have anybody here for siltation. Okay. No election committee report. So on to the manager's report with Ken Rozelle.
All right, we've had a pretty good, successful 2025 pool season. Typically attendance drops right when school begins. So the pool will be closing this season the day after Labor Day on September 2nd, and that's in about 22 days. We've had another very successful year receiving this year's assessments. There are only about 5 accounts in counting six lots that have made no attempt in paying their assessments, so they have been turned over to collections as of August 1st. I'd like to take this time to thank April and Brittany for their efforts, making reminding phone calls and collecting to reduce that number. It was nicely done, ladies. That is out of, what is it, 2,980 plus lots. We've got only five people that have not paid. That's great. The replacement of the activity center deck, they've been working on. The new stairs are projected to be completed by the end of this month. They about wrapped up the decking. There was a lot of rotted wood, so they kind of dove into a lot of repair. So the decking is about done. They have started digging up for the stairwell that will be heading out towards the water. So hopefully by the end of August, that project should be completed. With that project being completed, as soon as that's over, we will begin constructing the layout over the over here, boardwalk in front of the Hawkeye Storage event stage. The $10,975 donated to fund that project should allow about 104 feet at 8 feet wide, and that'll be basically from tree to tree that will cover the whole distance in front of the stage. This should take us through about mid-October to be completed, just in time for the preparations to start winterizing the campground. Finally, Psalms Haven financial contribution through July. July's payment was $14,527, which is $1,347 over July of last year. Through 7 months, they have paid the POA $56,797, and that is $2,799 over last year. And I might add that I think this is their 4th year, we've not had one month that has been backwards from the previous year's sales, not in 4 years. So that's it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Do you know when you'll start on the restrooms at the campground?
Probably when we finish that project. And obviously we'll wait until campground's closed.
Yes.
So we put 2 heaters in the restrooms to do the floors there a few years ago, so those heaters will come in handy for when we start in on
Thank
that.
you.
So it'll be pretty much gut the bathrooms and then turn it over to the new floor guys. And then once they get that done, then we'll jump
Okay.
in on stuff, so.
Thank you.
All right, then we have the assistant manager's report with Benny.
Yeah, start off with some of the common violations that we've been seeing right now. Main thing is people please mow your lawns, weed eat, stuff like that. It's easy to get away from you. We all understand it. Time is difficult to get away from the family and everything, but lawns still need to be mowed. With that, gardens, there's a lot of temporary fencing around what would be vegetable gardens, but I don't believe they have vegetables in them or haven't for a number of years, so make sure those are staying clean. And then really wanted to touch on a couple other things. Lincoln Park, the bathrooms at Lincoln Park. So those have been deemed a total loss. As you guys remember earlier in the summer, a tree fell on to the bathrooms there. Initially, it looked like we'd be able to just get away with some roof repairs or whatever it might be. But when you get in there, we had the adjuster come out, we had a local contractor come out as well and point some things out. And that's a block building, and a lot of that has been shifted off the foundation. So, once we get things settled with insurance, we'd like to move ahead and have that raised. It's likely going to require a new foundation and then be rebuilt. When it comes to being rebuilt, we don't believe it's gonna be a bore for bore. We'll probably go with a more smaller footprint and modern, like park-like appearance. Not too modern, right? It's gotta fit the theme of just the overall aesthetics of the lake and whatnot. But right now, the one we have currently has a large storage room in the back, a storage room and the utility room in the front. We're just trying to consolidate that. Probably not have to be as tall as well. It'd still be a similar functionality, 2 stalls in the women's room, a stall in the urinal in the main. No exact timeline on that other than once we get insurance checks, and then we'll move right along. Another thing I wanted to bring up was we have been running the sand sifter at the beaches for about the whole summer now. So back in May, we purchased a sand sifter that runs off of a PTO off of the back of a tractor, along with a small tractor that has a minimal footprint to clean the beaches. We've all been on the beaches, lots of snails, lots of rocks, goose poop, dog poop, it was all there. But we've been running that every single Friday since May. When we first started doing that, it would fill up that hopper multiple times, and we would go and empty it on the side, and we'd have 2 bucketfuls of snails, rocks, and other debris. And it would take all of Friday in order to do that, and now we're down to about an hour a beach, if that, and that's just because of the way the machine moves. And it's still picking stuff up, but it's not near as much. And I think if you guys and gals went out and enjoyed the beaches, you would see a huge difference in that. A, it's nice how clean they are, but B, they're pretty much well manicured every single Friday as well for the weekend masses. So just want to say thank you to the cleanup committee, lake committee, and others that helped us procure that sand sifter and tractor. And that is all for me.
Thank you. Now we are on to old business A, which is the hunting and practice rule, which is up for a second vote. How this is gonna go, I'm gonna ask for a motion and a second, and then it's gonna be open for discussion between the board members, and then we'll have the final vote after that. Now, as written, what is up for second vote is the following language: to ensure the safety of all Heritage Lake residents and guests, no hunting, trapping, target practice, or discharge of firearms and/or archery equipment will be allowed within Heritage Lake waters, shoreline, common properties, and all private lots within the Heritage Lake community. So first, I'd like to ask for a motion to accept that rule as written. If I have a motion,
I'll motion to accept.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and now we'll open this for discussion. So first, I'll start with our discussion here. Now, this is up again for a second vote. This has been a contentious issue for the community, and initially not something I even wanted to tackle. it was initially raised by multiple concerned community members. I'm an archer, I'm a hunter, I'm a veteran. I would shoot in my backyard with my son. I have a field behind me. So I thought initially I didn't want this ban. It kind of made me upset. But then after discussing this issue with the community and having information presented to the board over multiple months, I came to a position that I needed to accept and vote in favor of this motion. I have 4 main points of why I feel that way. First is that the voice of the majority here is a silent majority. I think we have quite a vocal minority on this topic. So everyone, I've had so many people approach me in favor of this ban, and they're not the ones that are posting on Facebook, and they're not necessarily the ones that are always coming to the meetings, but they're sure coming to each of us board members and voicing their concerns. Secondly, I think there's a big change in the demographic of this lake over the past 20 years, over the past 50 years. It's not the same place it was 10 years ago. It's not the same place it was 20 years ago. We are in technically, well, not technically, but what is virtually a subdivision. We're house upon house upon house. Having people hunt or target practice in your backyards is concerning in a residential neighborhood. Yes, we are in a rural type area, but this community itself is not rural. Third, I reviewed a lot of appropriate guidelines for archery range construction. And after review of those guidelines that are provided by multiple organizations, the U.S. Archery Association, Boy Scouts, 4-H, I don't think there's very many lots in this community that could safely and appropriately build an archery range that would fit into those guidelines. So that's a huge concern. I printed off something for myself that I think somebody did also post on the Facebook page that discusses the buffer zones of 25 yards on each side of the range line and 150 yards beyond. I can't fit that in my yard. I don't know any other people who can really fit that in their yard. Then last, this is a rule, this isn't a covenant change. Rules can always be modified. Rules can always change if board members change, if community members bring something to the long-term planning committee and develop a different situation, this rule can get changed. This is not something that's recorded in our covenants. It's a rule. So we're here to protect the community. And based on those 4 things, I'm going to vote in favor of it. But also I wanted to address some things with the community. This was initially brought up earlier in the year, and it was tabled because we wanted to have it brought up and addressed thoroughly and appropriately and per the Roberts rules, and then also have a proper investigation and leave the opportunity to the community to bring different options to us. Well, we tabled the vote, but we left this topic on the agenda for the board meeting for months and months. We had meetings where Benny had a PowerPoint and he showed different archery setups throughout the community. Hardly anyone was here. We had a meeting with the sheriff and the prosecutor and the DNR. Nobody was here. That was the opportunity to talk to us, to give us options, and nobody was here. So my hands are tied. I would love to have options for a range. I would love to have options to shoot my bow, but my hands are tied. We presented those meetings with open forums for the community to come to us with options, and nobody was here. Nobody. I was here.
And
Once.
Every meeting.
No, you
Every
weren't.
meeting I could, it was
You-
tax season.
I'm sorry, no, you
The
weren't.
meeting-
At every meeting you were, you could.
missed one
All right,
meeting
this
and
isn't a
just a
discussion.
meeting.
It's not a discussion.
Oh,
Okay,
Sorry.
not, you weren't here for every meeting. But where was everybody else?
Where's
Then,
the agenda
that,
for
wait,
the
You
meet on
don't
the-
Wait.
post the agenda.
Yeah.
it was on the list of old business at every meeting. We also,
It's all recorded.
People are watching right now.
great. We needed to be presented with options. We weren't. Also, Benny went around and took photographs and documented different archery setups that were visible to him. No, that wasn't announced to the community because we weren't trying to catch anybody doing anything wrong. We were doing a survey. But my biggest problem here is we had some community members that said, hey, why weren't we given an opportunity to remedy what we did? We weren't told that Benny was going around. Since when should somebody be told that they need to shoot safely? Never. It should be ingrained in your head as a 4-H'er, as a Boy Scouter, as somebody who's shooting archery in their backyard with their dad. You should know that. You shouldn't be told to have a safe setup. You shouldn't be told to not shoot at the road. You shouldn't be told to not shoot at somebody's house. That should be innate, ingrained in you as a safe archer, as a safe hunter. If you're not, then you're just not being an advocate for your sport. I'm an advocate for my sport. I would never have my target backstop or the area beyond my target be somebody's home,
You failed
nor
to
somebody's
notify
pool,
anyone of this.
nor somebody's road, nor somebody's front yard. It just wouldn't happen.
If there was something.
This is not open for discussion, this is a comment. If you are gonna keep interrupting, we're gonna ask you to leave. This is not a discussion. So, this is a discussion between the board members, and it's my opportunity to present my side of why I'm voting to the public. So I just want to reiterate to everyone, I'm not the bad guy. I would have 100 times out of 101, I would have loved to not even have this be presented. Now, as far as banning firearms and banning hunting, that's an easy yes to me. That's the easy yes. It's the target archery that's, to me, been the difficult topic. If you're a hunter, if you're an advocate for hunting, if you're an advocate for shooting firearms, there's nowhere in this community where either can be done safely, in my opinion. Nowhere.
All around us,
Nowhere.
every ag field around us.
And remember, this is our community. This has nothing to do with anyone outside of this community. This is our POA with our 3rd-acre lots, house to house to house, where some of us can touch, throw things and hit somebody else's window. So for those reasons, I am going to vote in favor of this. And as I stated, it's open for any discussion from the board.
Good speech, good speech. Appreciate it.
I'd like to say something. A friend of mine lives here at the lake. They have an in-ground pool, and they went on vacation in June. They came back, and an arrow was in their yard. So I went to their house and tried to figure out how can an arrow end up in their yard when we have shadow box fences all the way around. They have a 6-foot fence going around their pool. They have a garage on the backside so you can't see the pool. And the only thing I can think of is someone shot an arrow like this carelessly up in the air, and it went like this down and come over to her garage and went in her pool. Now, mind you, this is where they lay out for sun. If this would have hit somebody, thank God they weren't home, but it's careless. Very careless. And it's just that one time. One time.
I too will vote yes to support this rule, and here's why. During the months before, when we had discussion, I made it known, and I asked people, give me an HOA that promotes target shooting and arrow shooting, and I'll consider it. I didn't get one.
We're not at HLPOA.
I said, that's okay, just let me talk. Give me an example of a credible archery association, club, committee that promotes shooting arrows in an HOA, I'll consider it. And then I also reminded people, I think I reminded everyone, I know what a rural community looks like. I grew up in one. I target shot my mom and dad's behind their house in our rural community in Roachdale, Indiana. In fact, I even went rabbit hunting. You know what? You can't target shoot in Roachdale, Indiana anymore. There's an ordinance against it. You can't even shoot a .22 or a pistol in Roachdale, Indiana. There's an ordinance against it. Times have changed. Roachdale is a rural community. And if you haven't been to Roachdale, you ought to go, because it doesn't look like this. There are big yards. There's barns, back buildings, fences. No rules against backstops or ugly fences or any kind of barrier no rules against that. This isn't that. And so during the months, Alyssa, that I sat here looking at the map, Sean's map, and I look at those lots, and I just have to think, you look how close, tight-knit everything is together. How can I consciously sit here and support target practicing with bows and arrows when I guarantee you, if you want to play baseball with me, you wouldn't be, the lots are too short for that. It's dangerous. If you didn't catch my throw, it could be dangerous. So not that I'm wanting to outlaw baseball throws, but that's not going to kill anybody, that's why. And a .22 is illegal to use to shoot at a deer because it's not deadly enough. But an arrow is. It's just not safe here. And I'm up for re-election. I've also reminded people of that. I'm up for re-election. The seat's available. If you want to run against me because I support this, I promote that, I support that. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I got to do what's in my conscience and what I think. And I'll tell you this, and this is where I end it. When we move forward, there may be a day when I can say, I wish I voted for this rule. I'm so sorry I didn't. And I won't have to say that if this passes. So thanks, Alyssa, for letting me speak.
You're welcome.
I had something. I'm looking at the petition supplied by someone out there, and it has some 237 names on it. I don't think it's a pure list because many signatures are same property owners of possibly multiple lots. So it's not a perfect list, but it's still sizable and can't be ignored. But my observation is the total amount of people who are on the petition in favor of rejecting this, that represents somewhere around 7, maybe 8% of our population. This board has to consider 100% of the population and 100% of the possible liability to the POA, which is all of you, all of us. Okay, so I think for that primary reason, I have to vote in favor of this because I have to represent the entire community, not just 237.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a question. Where are all these people at? If it's that important, where are they?
A lot of them work nights, some of them can't be here.
Okay.
I do also,
They're watching on.
I have a statement about this list already. On the first page, I know there's somebody on there who's not a homeowner, so
They just recently.
it has not been,
I'll take their spot. I didn't sign it.
it's not verified, but we appreciate this being presented. It's not verified. Anyone else? All right, I do have one other statement I'd like to make. So I would like to request some of the people who are in favor of hunting and target shooting here to join or at least go to the long-term planning committee meetings and become involved in the long-term planning committee. I think that there's some avenues through the long-term planning committee where we can resolve this and have an opportunity where either they present an option to the board that we could have perhaps a hunting range, or not a hunting range, a target archery range somewhere. We were never presented with that being a feasible option at this point because of insurance reasons, but I think we are all aware of different parks that have archery ranges. Maybe people who are archers can get involved with the long-term planning committee and research that appropriately, because perhaps there's an insurance avenue that is financially feasible that we could participate in building a range and having it be accessible to all community members within Heritage Lake. I don't think anybody's opposed to that. It's just the monetary factor when it comes to insurance, which is a huge hurdle. If you folks that target practice out here want to do that, I would be in full support of that. And then also, I think that those people, also the hunters, who want to get more involved and perhaps join the long-term planning committee or at least go to those meetings and work with the long-term planning committee and the DNR to develop a plan for future deer herd management. I think it's a concern for everyone right now that we see a lot of deer in the community. And perhaps you could get with the DNR and the long-term planning committee to see what options there are in the future to manage the deer herd. And we are very open to doing that appropriately with DNR and with a future goal of having the long-term planning committee develop something that is feasible for everybody and legal and safe and ethical. And if all of you want to help with that, we would love your involvement. So it's those things of presenting us with real options that have teeth and getting you involved, you guys involved in the community to research that, I think will make everything a lot more cohesive. Because we don't want to tell everybody no. We don't want to control what you do on your property. It's just certain things come up where decisions have to be made based on circumstances, based on where this community has grown. And it does, for lack of a better word, suck for some people. And I sympathize. But, you know, my hands are tied and we are where we are. So I'd like to take a final vote unless somebody else has something else to say. So all in favor of adopting this rule as written? All in favor? All opposed? Any abstaining? Okay, so it passes. Again, if anybody wants contact information for the long-term planning committee, I will put you in touch. I would love you to get in touch with the DNR to help work towards those goals, because it may be something that is advantageous to the community as a whole, and you guys can feel like you're involved and heard and you have a voice in this. But then remember, this is a rule. Rules can be changed, okay? So, thank you, and we will move on to our next topic, which is, I lost my paper, is Old Business B, restaurant expansion.
Okay, I'll chat about this. We discussed this at the last board meeting a month ago. I'll go over this list here of explaining this like I did then for anybody that hadn't heard it. This initiative has pretty much been driven by the Board of Health Department. After visiting the restaurant, the volume of food that they're preparing, they deemed their prep area was inadequate. So they left it to Ed Som to come up with a solution, and they decided that there was only two solutions: to add on or drastically reduce the menu. So the plan is to expand the rear of the kitchen about 10 feet while adding some storage and beautifying the back end of the restaurant in the beach area. The cost is approximately $78,000. The Aspire Group, a Heritage Lake resident, will not be charging Heritage Lake for their construction fee. The propane tank has already been moved in behind the restroom, and expectations of widening the driveway back there about 6 to 8 feet, because we're going to put the building out farther. Ed Som has agreed to a 5-year contract extension. One thing I explained, it was my job to find out where the money was going to come from. We had budgeted, I think it was $250,000 in the building and grounds repair. One of the projects we just are not going to have time to do was $120,000 for a boat slip project. We just are not going to have time to do it. We're finishing this. When I made the budget, we didn't know anything about the dock project out here that money was donated for. And then after that, we got to roll into the restrooms, the bathhouses at the campground. So that's where I had planned on pulling the money from, was the $120,000 we had budgeted from there. The first vote was passed on July 14th, last board meeting, and this is a request for a second vote so we can start moving forward with this. We currently are waiting on James Carroll's team to put together the blueprints to present to the Board of Health, because they need to review them and approve them before anything is done.
Ken, just to clarify a couple things. One, this was driven by the Board of Health for the restaurant itself because of the prep area not being sufficient enough for them to prep food. Correct. And we're not adding additional seating to the building. It's basically the back storage area and prep area.
Yeah, the prep area, and we had kind of decided to design a couple storage areas on the corners of it so they could have a place to store, put their kegs, any kind of bread trays and stuff like that. So the back end of the house isn't cluttered looking.
And then you guys also figured in adding some water and extra drains back there to
Electrical.
possibly expand in the
For
future.
future plans.
Yeah.
While we were building the walls, it just made sense to do it. So.
And then this also allowed us to extend the contract with.
Correct, 5 years.
Right, okay. So now it's assured that we have the restaurant for an additional 5 years. And when does their current contract end?
May of next year.
So it'll be 5 years in addition from May, okay. So it's assured that they will be here and a source of income
And
for an additional 5 years.
At the rate, it would be probably 500 plus,
Okay.
500,000 plus.
And just to be clear, the residents are not paying for this expansion. The money that we generate from SOMS, that project will pay for itself in about 10, 12 months.
Correct.
Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second. Is there any additional discussion?
Blasphemous.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Any abstaining? And that passes second vote. And then we have the covenant update. I'd like to just give a brief update to the community on the status of the court case in regards to the covenant. So we know we had the vote tallied, And now we, as a board, have been in communications and back and forth, working on edits with our response and the vote tally, which will be submitted to the court. So as I stated in our last board meeting that had this on the agenda, I discussed to the community that I believe, and I think it's a resounding agreement of most everyone I speak to, that what we needed is not a change in the number of votes per lot and not some of the other extraneous changes, but what we need is basic change in the passing of the vote and the quorum. So what our request is and what we've been working with the attorney on is exactly how we're wording that request to the court to ask for the change in the quorum and also to add the electronic voting. So those changes are the only changes that are going to be in this request to the court. We've just had some back and forth with edits. And then the attorney was out of town for a little bit, and then also Jeff Brooks was on vacation, so we wanted to make sure that he was actually present here to physically sign with Jeff Blades, sorry. I called you the wrong name. So we wanted to make sure you were present to sign the response that we're gonna submit to the court. So that should be our final edit. We should have, I would say, by the end of next week, and that'll be submitted to the court. And then hopefully they will,
We're posting that somewhere, right?
of course, that will absolutely be posted to the community when it's submitted. We cannot and we would not submit anything that would be confidential or marked confidential. So anything we submit to the court is always public record. So there's nothing that has been submitted to the court that has not been given to the community. If you pull up the case on my case, it is all public record. So I know there's a little rumor floating around that something was submitted to the court that nobody can see and nobody was aware of. That's not true. As soon as it's signed by all community members, it will be posted where all the other documents are. And I assure you, we are not asking for a change in the number of votes per lot. That has been taken off the table. As we stated before. So that is not a request. We are going with what we believe the majority of the community wants based on the vote that did not pass. And the resounding response from everybody is that they do not agree with the change in the number of votes per lot, but they do agree with the change in how a vote passes in the quorum. So that is the change we're going to request, and then also a request to add electronic voting because this is not 1984.
To clarify that though, the covenants does today allow electronic voting. What it does not allow is sending electronic notices about a vote that is going to be taken. That to me is the most important part of what we still need.
Good clarification, okay. Good clarification. So just to make voting move into 2025. And having everything through the postal service is expensive and time consuming and is real prohibitive of voting for everyone.
They can't deliver in a week.
Right, but we will still have voting by mail for those individuals who do not have a computer, which I think as time goes on will be very limited. So that's the update there. Once our final edit has been approved by all the board members and signed, we will post that. And I think everybody in the community, I say everybody, I would like to say a majority of the community members will be very pleased that the board took their opinions and suggestions to heart in trying to effectuate this change in voting. I think having the community having a say in voting and a vote that will count is very important because then it's the community that has the final say, not board members for everything, which is our whole goal. All right, now on to new business A, lake lowering for this year.
All right. So for Heritage Lake, we're looking to gain permission to lower the lake roughly 4 feet starting in late October Going through December, then at that point, we will add the blocks back and let the lake rise through the winter. We've been, Ken and I, and then also others on the board have received requests from homeowners to lower that, both for DIY, do it themselves, reasoning on their seawalls or on their dock, but then also for having contractors planned out to do the work as well. And then additionally, the POA would like that because it would help tremendously when erecting the boardwalk down by the Hawkeye Event Center. And so that boardwalk, if you guys have been down there, as you know, there's a large track of riprap, and the boardwalk's going to be 8 feet wide, or I guess in depth as you stand on the shore towards the water. So it's not the standard 6-foot boards or even 4-foot boards that we're trying to manhandle over that riprap. It's the larger pieces with the crew, and move along much quicker if we could stand on solid footing versus doing that from our pontoon boat or whatever it might be, or even with waders on. Another board member, they also provided a list of numerous reasons why winter drawdowns can be beneficial, and I think the board's seen that and they have read that. I think this is absolutely fantastic, and there are many benefits to it. With that, I would also like to propose, maybe this is something, I think last time we had mentioned, hey, is there a schedule we should get on? And overall, I think people are happy to have a drawdown, just when is it benefited, when is it needed, when does the benefits, when do we reap those, and things like that. And we've talked about long-term planning committee a lot already today, but I thought that might be something that would be very well suited for them to go and find out the benefits, the timing, things along those lines. Probably ideas we haven't even thought about that they can deeply research and present to the board. But the request would be 4 feet later in October. Date to be determined, but it can be, after a weekend or something like that. We can watch the weather if we have a hot spell or something like that. I mean, and then we can jump on that.
Okay, a couple things I'd like to address and ask
Sure.
some questions. So 4 feet, just for clarification for everyone who may be listening, that if we lower it 4 feet, we can still use the boat ramp.
Yes, the ramp is still
Okay.
accessible.
So essentially this year, we're presenting this for a vote for the board for multiple reasons. First, for the boardwalk.
Correct.
We have a big project with the boardwalk, and it's safer and more effective to build that with
Yes.
the lake lowered, is that right? And then, as far as, we've had a really significant year this year with weeds.
Mm-hmm.
And if we lower the lake this year, and I think studies have shown that it's very effective in weed reduction.
Correct. As has our company, Aquatic Control.
So would that help us this year in determining if that actually does help with weeds? Because we had such a bad year this year with weeds, that it would be effective to lower it this year and see the results next year. And that would better address the weed issue with people in coves without
Treating or.
yes,
chemical
over-treating and killing our
additional, yeah.
fish.
Yeah, so our biologist friends, they always say there's many factors and whatnot, but they do recommend that lowering that, especially if we have a particularly cold winter, with, those sub-zero days that we see in mid and late January, that could be very beneficial
Okay,
to the weeds and snail population.
So the snails are also a concern, and I know we have Red Ear that address snails, but that would be a double bang to the
Yes.
snails.
Yeah, I would not recommend doing anything about reducing stocking with our shell crackers or anything like that. I think they're still doing a great job. Just in my time here, last August to this August, I mean,
Dramatic.
Okay.
very, very much so.
So I think the weeds are my biggest deciding factor in saying yes, and of course the boardwalk. I want to address AJ's concern from last time regarding contractors planning, or people being able to pre-plan construction with contractors. Could we keep it open for consideration to lower it next year if there's enough people that come to us to say, hey, I have these plans. Not that we want to lower it again, but if, I would hate to put somebody off for like 4 years
Well-
if they have a big construction project.
Can I speak to my own?
Sure.
part? I was opposed to doing it this year because we're only deciding in August to do it.
Right.
If we said now, hey, next fall we're gonna do this, all you DIYers, all you contractors, all you everybody's,
Got time to plan.
everybody has time to plan and prep and go through A&E and do all the things they need to do, because my greatest concern with this is we lower it this year, and then we get a big influx again, and then we lower it again next year. I'd like to not be lowering the lake and cutting the season short for people, you know, that are boating and things like that, because you lower it 4 feet, I mean, you're not getting your boat off your lift, all your boats are gonna have to be out on trailers. That's just gonna cut the season short. I know it's October, I know not as many people use the lake in October, but there are still quite a few people that do. So that's just a concern to not announce it. We do so many other announcements so far ahead of time that my thing is, let's 2026 plan to lower it. Yes, I know that unfortunately that doesn't help the POA guys do the boardwalk.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
other than that, you know, we're looking at the overall good. If we're gonna go back to what we were just talking about, we're looking at everybody. If we announce it to everybody with plenty of lead time, then everybody can plan. If we just wait till we get a handful of people that say they wanna lower it, what constitutes enough people every season in order to lower it?
I think that'd be good for the long-term planning as well, though.
Nina?
I agree.
I would like to see if we lower it this year and then we plan and put the information out to lower it next year, then we put ourselves on a 4-year plan so homeowners can prep and plan. And then in the interim, if we find a reason or have a reason, or we have a ton of homeowners that come to us on year 3 and say, hey, this is a much better year than waiting 1 more year. But I would like to see us be on a specific schedule that can be modified as needed, but that way the residents can plan on it and bank on it, save for it.
I agree.
Well, may I? My only resistance to a lake drawdown is deciding the frequency. And we're talking 2 years in a row here now, and I'm sorry, I can't support that. I don't like that idea, okay? Drawdown, for all of its good reasons, yes, it needs to be done once in a while, maybe every 4 years, maybe 3, I don't know. But 2 years in a row, that's taken away use of our biggest amenity that we all have in common. And so I don't support doing it 2 years in a row, I can tell you that.
I agree that this would be an anomaly. I'm not saying that we plan it going forward as ever again 2 years in a row.
Well, didn't we just do it 2 years ago?
I think it has been.
Linda, did you have something?
Yes, we've had, I'm on the A&E, so we've had some contractors that needed lake lowered as well this year to build some docks. And I've had several people come to me and are for lowering the lake this year for the DIYers. I mean, they're prepared, they want to do it. So I'm for this year and next year, and I agree with Nina. I like the idea of having a set schedule of maybe 4 years and the community comes back, but I think it's necessary for this year and next year.
Or we set it up this year, and then 4 years from
I mean, this year, or, again, I'd love to see this in the hands of long-term planning. They could determine like what the triggers are. Is it a schedule? Is it a number of people that have signed up with contractors in tow that have A&E permits? I don't know, I mean, but there's a lot of opportunity out there for sure.
I'm for a drawdown as long as it'll be drawn down through freeze, a good hard freeze. And I don't care about starting in October. If that's what's necessary to do the work, I understand that. But I think anytime we draw it down to take advantage of a freeze is the intelligent thing to do. The first point on this says that exposing the lake bed to freezing temperatures can naturally kill off invasive plant species, and it goes on and lists a bunch of them. It says by reducing these populations, drawdown minimizes the need for chemicals. Why would we not want to eliminate or reduce the need of chemicals? That's a savings. So if we draw the lake down anytime during freeze for a month or so to kill the weeds. Now, and I know Nina knows, because I tried to rake my weeds, okay, 2 years ago. You know how many snails live in those weeds? It's full. And those sunfish aren't gonna get to those. When you've got weeds and you're raking your weeds out of the lake and you're pulling them all up, just hundreds of snails are infested in those weeds. So to get rid of snails, to get rid of weeds, lowering the thing in the freeze is a good thing. And so I ask, this is just what I ask. Instead of taking my word for it, I suggest that a study be done by long-term planning or somebody and see what other lakes, just like what we own, just like this one, what do they do and what works for them? I think we'll be really shocked at what works for them and how much they spend on chemicals compared to what we do.
But we prepay our chemical bill,
Okay?
so we wouldn't get any savings.
Well, I understand, but you would over time, right?
I think the observation of the winter drawdown and its impact on snails and weeds and all that is incredibly good. But when is winter? Is that after Thanksgiving? Or is it after
Yeah,
Halloween?
absolutely.
No,
Okay.
we could definitely explore doing it later than
Yeah.
October as well, yeah.
First 2 weeks of January.
January, February.
We work in the cold
Yeah,
and the ground will be frozen, so
Yeah.
I'm not
Can you
opposed to
still
that.
do?
Yeah.
We just, before we drop it, we need to get Shannon to dry the pipe. Then other than that, the pipe can stay in there until,
Then I think it makes sense to do it later, to lower it, but do it later. And then, that would, I think, please the community to have the lake be
Can we
more
lower it up
usable.
for Christmas so Santa Claus can see?
Well, he can still get on the water at the boat launch.
When does lake start freezing
true.
over?
Yes.
Towards the end of December, would you say?
Yeah, you can have freeze in December.
So I think at this point, we vote on this year, and then next year and anything else can be a long-term planning committee decision. So this just needs one vote.
that's fair.
So anyone have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to lower the lake.
Okay, and do we have a proposed date range that we think we want to do that before we have a,
Well, Benny, or Kim, yeah, I'm trying, for you guys with that boardwalk,
Yeah,
what kind of time frame
We
would you
need
guys like
to,
to
we
see?
need to really start considering doing that probably first of November at the latest.
How long does it take to lower it 4 feet? How long does it take to wait?
Couple days.
Couple days?
Yeah, and I did ask with some board members and a lot of people in the community, and then Clear Creek, there's always like the concern of like, is it gonna fill back up enough by the spring, and everybody thinks that, but it's not been an issue. It very
Never.
easily
Never has been.
fills back up.
Yeah.
okay, so I think our motion is, or the vote is to lower the lake after November 1st. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? No. All right, and that
Yeah.
passes. Oh.
But that's okay.
Oh, did you abstain?
Yeah.
All right, we have one abstaining.
Maybe because I don't know about next year.
Right. Okay, open forum?
Go ahead and get me out of the way. Chris Daigle, don't worry about it.
I wasn't gonna talk again, but you guys like push so much stuff through, I have a hard time remembering, but all I need to talk about. The plumbing thing, that's the problem, is this lake got away from community. Fortunately, our school system still has community pride and all that. You have so many plumbers out here, including myself. My company donated all the toilets and urinals to the youth league. But nobody ever said anything. Let's just push money, let's pad contractors. Linda knows the plumber too, don't you? Even though he won't tell you that. But anyways,
I
there's,
didn't know you were a plumber.
there's.
What are you in reference to?
The north,
Okay.
where you got it, I don't understand the foundation part. I don't understand why you.
The
recommend
block, the
foundation.
block has been
But you said
pushed.
foundation too.
And, correct, but depending on how that block was poured and the concrete was poured, if the block has a footer
James
versus
Page will
continuous.
look you up, bud. Go look outside of, I don't know, the guy on the water here. I'm on the water, but, you know, look, I'm willing to help. I'm willing to go to my contractor and say, hey, I need toilets, I need urinals, I need labs. And I can guarantee you get them. They even donate the pipe. This guy can vouch for it. They've done it several times here. However, nobody asks the community. It's not community here anymore because we've got too commercialized, right? You just said with the boat for the whole hunting, I don't even hunt. But I got raccoons getting in my trash can, and I know several higher up people here that's been trapping. Am I not allowed to trap a raccoon now, even though they can and they can post it on Facebook? They're good friends of mine. You just said trapping in what you said, so a nuisance animal we're not allowed to get rid of humanely?
That's state law.
Just curious, because you added trapping, that stuck in my head. Then we go to Psalms, there's so much stuff I want to cover. Evidently, this board has the same attorney that Jim Irsay had when he made the stadium deal. I don't understand, when you own a building and you lease it, who knows what their lease is with us that they pay us monthly, they probably don't, you get 7%. You build to suit. Ask my hairdresser today, I said, hey, you want to put a wall here, do you have to pay for it, build to suit? Yep. That's my father-in-law's huge in commercial real estate. You build to suit. I know people here that own a lot of stuff, and you build to suit. Why are we catering just to Psalms? What's the deal? He's had a however many year lease. He can't say thank you to the community. Yeah, we're getting our money back, we got it back, dues went down for the boats, whatever. He's still making money, and we're sitting here paying for it, and you can say all you want, buddy, about, oh, well, we're not gonna pay for it. It's coming out of what we make off of allowing him. We catered to his butt. What was it, 1.5 million, 2 million, who knows? And now we're asking for 80. I guarantee you it's gonna be over 80, because it always is with you guys. Because we go to our best bud, that, oh, well, we can get over. It's always like that. It's sad that this freaking board, and for the past few years, we've lost the community. Go to North Putt, man. Go to the high school, go to the middle school, you'll see community. You don't see it here. Everybody's got their own freaking agenda, and it's up to us just to fall in line. And you can say about your big hunter, all this. Nobody's ever had an incident. There was an incident on Facebook 10 years ago about a deer. Guess what? It was deleted. Just like the guy that was doing donuts that you commented on. That was deleted too, which is ridiculous because everybody has, well, probably not y'all from Carmel or wherever you're from, but when this lake, you used to be able to go have, guess what, middle of the day like it was, day before school starts, some dad on an empty lake did a donut, and we're gonna raise hell? Yeah, it's breaking the rules, but god dang it, come the hell on, this is a Geist. We sit here and we have this guy stay for these stupid meetings where we've never threatened you. He should be out here patrolling the lake, but instead, I don't know who feels threatened, we hold him back when a kid could get hit by a car doing 40. And yes, you're out there and I appreciate it. Because after that last board meeting, there was somebody posted up on the dam. And as much, I'm Chris Daigle, I'm outspoken, blah, blah, blah. But I care about the community and I want you guys out here more.
Thank you, Chris.
But, and I understand, you're undermanned, but we cater to what? There was like 5 people here, 7, maybe 7 people here at the last meeting. And they had one of your deputies stay back because somebody felt threatened. That's sad.
Thank
Taxpayer
you.
dollars wasted. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Next.
Phil McKinley, 330 Pages Landing. From the perspective of the Clearwater team, lowering the lake later is better than lowering the lake early. And particularly, if you lower it later, I'm thinking like Christmas time or whatever. I understand you might want to do it differently this year because of the project. But lowering it later doesn't interfere with people's use of the lake, because by then it's going to be freezing anyway. It takes advantage of the cold temperatures, both for snails and weeds. And then another potential benefit, is one of the things that causes probably the most dock damage around here is if the lake is still frozen when the lake gets high enough with spring rains that it lifts docks. Because it's just an inexorable force coming up if there's a thick sheet of ice on top of water and it's floating. So lowering the lake later and then letting it fill later toward the end of the season even helps prevent that kind of damage. So that's my spiel. Later instead of earlier should be the normal approach.
Thank you.
I have a question, 501 Jefferson Valley. You said that the homeowners voted down the change in the covenants.
Yes.
What prompted you to rewrite it and do it again, if we already said no?
So we were asked to do a vote as it was written, and we've addressed this many times. The court has left it open. The vote wasn't the final decision. It was just presenting what the community was in favor of. Clearly, the community was not in favor of it as it was written. So we are proposing to the court modifications to that, which we believe are in line with the community's wishes.
Right, but
And
it's a
so
yes
the
or no
judge has
vote.
allowed us to do that, and the judge will have the final say. So we are presenting that side and what we believe is the majority's request to the court in our filing that has not been filed yet, with our motion that has not been filed yet, and the judge will make the final decision on that. We are presenting our argument, and the judge will say yay or nay, or somewhere in between, or we don't know. So
But
we're
my question is,
presenting
how
what
do
we.
you know that, though?
How do we know what?
Like, when I voted, it was just yes or no.
That
No one
is-
asked me what I thought about this part of it or this part of it, it was just yes or no.
We have had.
We did open houses here, and we had many people from the community come in to talk about the vote, and that was the feedback that we received overwhelmingly, was that the number one opposition to that ballot that had like the 6 referendums on it, just because we were trying to get everything done that was thought needed to be done. The biggest opposition was to that change in how a vote per lot would be issued or calculated. And that was the biggest opposition that we received. So that is why when we went back to the judge, we have to go back to him and say, hey, this is what we want or not want. We struck that out of it.
Okay, so like a lot of people showed up, because there's like 5 people here.
Yeah.
So you got over 1,450 people to show up, so you could.
No, that's
No.
exactly
You said
the
majority,
point.
though.
That's
You
exactly
defined
the
it
point.
different.
The majority of the people that gave us feedback.
They're gonna revise it and run it through again, that's.
So, okay.
So-
It's never been
They're
decided.
gonna revise it
Listen.
and rewrite
Sure,
it and
sure.
run it through again.
And so it doesn't have anything really to do with us? You guys are just doing that?
Can I
I just want to understand.
Well,
Can I
AJ's
disagree-
been
can I
involved in
address
this a
something?
long
Yeah.
time.
Can I answer your question? I'll take responsibility. When I spoke in that first meeting, I said the words, winner take all. What I had meant, which I did not articulate, was the judge asked us to put the vote out as a yes or no vote. They told us what to do. Even if the vote had been a yes, the judge could still come back and say, no, we're not changing anything. It still sat in the judge's hands, no matter, is it he or she? He was the choice, the decider. So we could still make any changes and send it back in. He could say no, or he could say yes, or he could say this part or this part or that part. I was just trying to address that we're not doing a 2/3 system. We're not using the Heritage Lake voting system for the vote. It was a simple majority, winner take all in the vote of that. It did not influence what the judge did or did not want to do. It was just, judge kicked it back and says, put it out to a vote, see what the community says.
We have to respond to the judge.
We're just sending this information back to the judge and we're saying, after this vote, the feedback we received is 600 and some no's and 500 and some yeses. And the feedback from the meetings, from the people that chose to come into meetings and participate
And
was
many
this.
handwritten responses on the votes themselves.
Oh, yeah, we had a lot of those.
So I apologize on behalf of myself for speaking that way about it. I was just trying to differentiate between the 2/3 voting system that the lake requires through the covenants
Court.
versus what the court asked us to do, which was a simple majority. If it was 100 votes yes and 101 votes no, we were just supposed to relay that information back to them.
Gotcha.
It had nothing to do with the 2/3 system that we did, and that was a misspeak on my part, and that's why I wanted to address that, because that has been a topic that people acted like that was the vote, and whatever the answer was, the judge was gonna be like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, the community said that. The
Right.
judge
No,
could
I-
still
I
go
just-
back, so
I
that's,
was curious, because I mean, if, what is there, like 10 people here? Like, how do you find out the majority of anybody wants?
We
to
get
in this
calls, we get emails, we've had
Aside
meetings.
from Facebook.
Oh,
no, I mean,
not
I get
even
called on my
Facebook.
We're not talking
personal,
about
I get
Facebook.
called on my personal phone at home at night, on the
And-
weekends, when I'm working. People, our numbers have been handed out to the whole world for people to call and ask
Stop
us.
doing that.
We're not
Well,
doing it.
I don't have, I don't,
You know,
Just kidding.
I
They're
don't-
all over, they're
as
posted.
as the secretary of this board, I don't have the anonymity to not receive feedback from the community. That is a requirement as the secretary of the board.
Right, but I mean, if you guys are getting calls at night, I mean, boundaries aren't out of line.
Well, that's when you just do not disturb.
Right. Okay, no, I was just curious.
That's why do not
I've been
disturb
in here
exists.
A couple times, I don't come very often.
I think Rick had
Every time
something he
it's
wanted to
been
mention.
Based on, really, we don't kind of really have a say.
Yeah, I just want to
We
point
want you to
out,
have a say.
you know, we have to respond to the judge. And we can say, hey, this is what we think. And he could give us everything we asked for in the original complaint, in spite of the vote tally. He could, probably not. But he could also go the other extreme and give us nothing, even if we ask for something, okay? So, but we have to respond, and we have to let him do his job now.
And there's no voting system right now that works, so we have to gauge the temperature of the community, right? We have to gauge the needs of the community versus our fiscal responsibilities versus what we hear from all you guys versus what we hear from people that aren't here that reach out to us at the marina, on my boat, on my phone, while I'm at my other job. So we just have to, we're in a tough spot. We've got to do what's best for the community. And I don't think there's a single person here who has self-interests that they're promoting in front of the whole community. We don't. I don't have any self-interests.
That's just, I mean.
I will tell you right there, the whole vote on the hunting issue shows you that my self-interests are not number one. They are not.
You said, where are they? But those people that are with you don't have to be here. It doesn't work both ways?
I don't know what you're saying.
You said, where are all these you did too, where's all these people that?
No, I said there were 237 signatures,
they that
but I
signed?
never asked where they were. It's a petition.
No, you did and he did.
They showed
I
up in
did.
March, but they pulled it
No,
off
no,
the
no, no, no,
agenda
no.
an hour before the meeting.
I remember that.
That's when
I was
everybody
here.
showed up.
I was here.
Anybody else?
We did rally a bunch of people.
But then those
And then
gays.
All right, we got one at a
don't have
time,
to be
Chris.
here. That's cute.
Chris, you had your chance. You got others.
Those 280 Lincoln Hills. First off, I'd like to address on a positive note that the change in the voting on the property lots per vote, I think that was a plus for everyone. I think that didn't make sense to anyone. That if a man and a husband and wife or two people who own a lot together are in discrepancy, they should work that out between themselves. One vote per lot, that's the way to go. So thank you for addressing that. As far as the archery and hunting is concerned, before I bought my home out here 20 years ago, my wife and I went to the office and we acquired a copy of the restrictive covenants, the lake rules, the general rules, and I read them all from cover to cover to make sure that there weren't going to be problems with us in our lifestyle. I was able to shoot my bow in Indianapolis where we lived, and I wanted to ensure that I could do it out here, and I could. And for 20 years, there hasn't been any issue out here. In fact, for 50 years at this lake, there hasn't been a major issue with anyone with any problem with this. So that's a real issue with me. I have made concessions. My backstop was photographed and complimented by Benny on being probably the best backstop out here at the lake, but it still wasn't sufficient in the fact that Heritage Drive was beyond it, and there's a new home build beyond it now. I moved my backstop. My backstop's facing my property now. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to continue to shoot because I don't think you have the right to shut me down. I also don't think you have the right, because of the fact that I feel that this is a restricted covenant. You're restricting me on recreating and doing something on my property that I own, that I pay the property taxes on. Furthermore, as far as hunting is concerned, you don't have the right to tell me I can't hunt on property that I pay the property taxes on. This is not a city ordinance. We don't live inside a county or community city ordinance that says we can fire a bow and arrow on our own property. And that's how I feel about it, and I think there's a lot of other people here who feel the same way, and I don't know what your plans are on enforcing this, but I can tell you now, if somebody comes onto my property and interferes with my personal belongings, we're gonna roll in the fire. So, I've said my piece, and that's it until, until there's a law that's banning me from doing this. I'm gonna continue doing it safely. My neighbor is a law enforcement officer, and if he had any problems with it in the last 15 years he lived there, he would have spoke up to me. But I still made concessions. I'm willing to compromise. This board is not compromising whatsoever. There's no concessions made here. And this just seems to be, we're steamrolled. That's all I have to say about it.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
I got something to say about that. What's the
Name and lot number.
Name and lot number,
Yeah,
buddy.
Blake 39 Victory Hill. Is it criminally charged, or like what's the penalty?
This is not a criminal offense. This is not a state statute. It is an HOA rule that would be enforced through the methods and the ways that we enforce any other HOA rule, which would generally be cease and desist letters, communications with our attorney, and escalating up to possible legal action. It is not a crime, unless, of course, there's a situation like we addressed in a prior meeting with the sheriff and the elected prosecutor, where it could possibly arise to a situation like criminal recklessness, depending on how and where the shooting took place. But the rule in and of itself, as enforced through the POA, is not a crime.
So if we shoot and it's safe, and you can prove that it's safe, are we still gonna get?
If you could, it would be enforceable through any other action we do to enforce any other POA rule.
Doesn't Indiana have a rule?
I don't know what the rule, like,
Yeah.
so like when you're voting, you got different infractions,
Letters
so
from the attorney,
I
cease
guarantee
and
if you go by
desist,
39 Victory Hill, about every night my son's out there shooting.
and then up to potential legal action with the courts, civil lawsuits.
Yeah. Doesn't Indiana have laws that pertain to communities like ours, associations?
No, that's why it's an issue.
Let me talk. They have laws about that associations' rules are not laws. They're rules that can be enforced by the association through civil action.
Yes,
And I recommend people review Indiana.
That's correct.
State law before you do anything. I want you to review it on your own, and, because there's state laws that governs how associations like this operate.
that's
Yeah,
correct.
fine, but say you catch me out there shooting, and you catch Chris out there shooting,
I don't shoot.
like,
Well, this Christmas.
whatever, whoever.
We don't make the determination of whether or not it's safe. If it's reported to the sheriff's department and then a report taken, the sheriff's department, and then subsequently anybody who reviews it at the prosecutor's office would determine if it's a crime. And that would only be after it's reported to the sheriff's department.
So
And
I
they come
guarantee-
out and do an investigation.
So I guarantee you, if I'm shooting my house,
I got over a quarter mile before the.
I can't
next house
promise
there.
you anything, I don't know, you can't I don't know what you're trying to guarantee or
Well,
say.
I'm wondering if we're shooting,
If you're wondering what the repercussion is if you
Yeah.
continue to shoot, that's kind of how
That's
it's.
what, yeah, that's what I want
It
to know.
would be handled just like somebody would choose to build a dock without going through the A&E. The board sets the rules, and if you are caught doing it, reported doing it, somebody videos you doing it, like she said, the office will send you a cease and desist, and then it will be turned over to the attorney, and then from that point on, it'll be between our attorney and you, and it will either get stopped, or the judge will request you to stop, and if he gives you a court order, then that's on you. So I'll give you an example. We had a gentleman out here that, like I said, it's the same scenario. The board had set A&E rules, and a gentleman chose to build a dock without getting any approval. We wrote him a letter. This went on and on and on. We got our attorneys involved. It went all the way to the court, and not only was he ignoring it, you're going to be responsible for attorney fees, and he had to pay us $17,000. And so he paid us $17,000 without even going, right before we go to the judge, he decided to pay and say, I'll take down what you want me to take down. So that's the process. Like I said, the board makes the rules, the office enforces them. There's no, right now, we have no fine involved, but it's a rule. It's just like any other rule that they have. If they tell us this isn't something we want in this community, then we have to address it that way.
The next thing is, you talk about wanting to protect the community, the safety of the community. And I'm not one to gripe here, but you go to these concerts, you go to the poker stuff, what's everybody doing at the concert?
Drink.
What are they doing when they're leaving? Everyone.
That's why we have specific rules against all of that.
I agree. But if you look at ChatGPT, I did, just sitting here, how many people died in the last 10 years from an arrow? It said less than a handful.
That's AI.
How many people die from a DUI in a year? 11,000 a year. So enforce some, you want to enforce what's really killing people in the world.
Yeah.
Are you saying that we're not enforcing drunk drivers on the lake?
I mean, I haven't seen how many people have been
That
arrested for
is
drunk
up
driving.
to the sheriff's department to to investigate
saying.
crimes. The HOA or the POA does not investigate crimes.
I'm just saying, I'm using that as an example.
Yep.
We
all drink on the lake.
I'm guilty of it. If I had a golf cart, I'd drive around and drink like everybody does right now.
And enforcement of that is the sheriff's department.
And if you're swerving, someone's gonna make a phone call, like, yeah, I just saw that golf cart guy swerving up and down.
Yeah, they will.
Someone's got at least report you to get.
But what's the thing that keeps you from not driving your golf cart drunk?
I don't have a golf cart.
If you had a golf cart,
That's the main reason I'm not driving around drunk. If I had a golf cart, I would probably join everybody else and drive around with a drink. Okay? Like, I'm not bitching about it. I don't care. I just don't want my rights infringed on. When I got a half mile to the next house behind my house, my son is probably shooting right now, and he shoots every night. That's what he does. He's not out drinking.
are you comparing the archery to driving drunk?
No, I'm comparing rules.
That's
In
what-
a way.
that's what I'm hearing.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm hearing.
Keeping the community safe is what it's all about.
Liability issue.
That's what this whole thing is about, keeping the community safe. This was nothing but a kiss match between two people is where it started.
Yep.
And now it's trickled down to taking a right from my son, my 16-year-old that does it every night, and that's what he's doing. He's not out.
Why don't you guys get with the long-term planning committee?
I'm not.
You're not what? You're not what gonna get involved?
I hate
Get
public speaking. I don't
involved.
want to be here.
They want to ban your.
I just
Get
want
involved.
my son to be able to shoot every night with a
All
half
right.
mile between him and the
Yeah.
next house.
We gotta move on otherwise
what I
we'll be
want.
here forever.
Donna was next. Donna had her
Carrie-
hand up.
Donna,
or he had
yeah.
his
Carrie
hand up.
Bowman's next, actually. She's had her hand
Oh,
up
I
several
didn't
times.
see your hand. I'm sorry.
Carrie Bolden, 216 Lincoln Hills. I understand that the restaurant expansion has already been voted on. That's okay, I respect that. I was neutral in that. After I watched the last board meeting, I then became intrigued because anyone that knows me knows I work at the Darriette, which is a tight space. So I know all about the challenges of that. We run some pretty high volume. I don't know what the restaurant out here does volume-wise. I did talk with the Board of Health. I pulled the inspection reports. I did as much research as I could on my own. I then reached out to someone who is in an authority position and asked if I could have a discussion with, if I could tour, even if it meant after hours, you know, during hours, look at the kitchen and see what those issues were. Could there be another solution versus spending lots and lots of money? And unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that before this meeting and vote, so I didn't even get the opportunity, or we didn't get the opportunity, I suppose. But I did my research, and I didn't go on Facebook, and I didn't blast, and I didn't. I just saw something that I found to be potentially more expensive maybe than what it needed to be, but I can't now say that I know there was another solution because I didn't have that opportunity. But in the future, I would like to find out what committee, if there is one, handles that kind of thing, like when it comes to expansion and or the restaurant, just because, I mean, I'm Serve Safe manager certificate through the state, so I mean, I know those codes and those rules, and I know there've been a ton of new rules, and we're all learning those together. But I want to be part of a solution, if I can be, in an area where I feel like I've got a little bit more, I hate to use the word expertise, but a little more knowledge than what someone else might not. But again, I respect, the decision and the vote. I just would like to find out how I might be able in the future to jump on something and be part of a solution before it gets to that.
Suggestion?
Well, I think I'm confused. You say you want us to let you inspect Psalms to see a possible solution?
What I asked was for a tour to see, because I've not ever been in there.
But
I simply wanted
property
to
owner.
see, I wanted to see what the dimensions were, and based on the inspection report, where the,
shortfall lies.
yes,
So
yes.
here's my thing. I respect them. I get
So, real quick, so Carrie had asked me, Carrie and I have known each other for 4 or 5 years. We've worked at concession stands for softball and stuff like that, and so that's a little bit of our background there. And she reached out, and it was something our manager was out of office for a while at Psalms. Did get the okay. We discussed actually just before here because we went back and forth in email a little bit, and that died as well. But yeah, I know it's kind of like an unorthodox request, like, hey, can I see it? But at the same time, I feel like Carrie's intentions were purely inquisitive,
of course,
and positive for the community, and so it's something we're working to do and still working to move forward with as well.
My only question is I don't think the health department, they might listen to you, but I think it's really between them and, say, us and Psalms, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that wasn't about me going back to the Board of Health. I spoke with someone at the Board of Health specifically about
Okay.
Psalms and the inspection reports.
Okay.
And the information I got from them gave me a little bit more insight on where the shortfall is.
Okay.
And there were possible solutions that could have been considered versus the
So my only
expansion.
worry is if we cut the menu in half, that's less profitability for Psalms and less money coming to us every month. You gotta have a wide array of choices. It's kind of like for me in my office, I'm an optometrist. If I only sell 500 frames versus 1,000, it's gonna be a problem. Because if people are like, well, you don't have that big a selection, I'm gonna go somewhere else.
Right, and I wasn't, and I'm not implying that I was going to come back and say cut the menu in half. Again, just based on my work history and experience, I can tell you that the Darriette has a very limited menu.
Well, we do have to move on. I'm gonna slightly cut you off, but I'm gonna respond. I think some of the fixes would be a Band-Aid to the bigger picture of actually fixing it. So I think there were some resolutions that would have been less expensive, but it would have been just putting a Band-Aid on it. So I think doing it right and doing it well and having the aesthetics of the building be appropriate and adding more storage was potentially a little bigger scope than just a Band-Aid fix that they recommended. But in the long run, it's more beneficial to the community to have a well-done building that is well-built, well thought out, and aesthetically pleasing to anybody who goes in the area. All right.
So don't we believe that it's already aesthetically pleasing?
Not the backside.
No, definitely not the back.
I've never.
All right. You, yeah.
David Carroll, 369 Gettysburg. So no matter what rule or anything that we come up with and set here, you could always have that experience that you're talking about, Linda. That same guy can go out right after this is put in and do the same stupid stuff that he's gonna do. You're not gonna stop all that.
Right.
I totally understand. I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't even bug on them. The only reason I'm complaining a little is because the infringement starts, and where does the infringement stop? I don't bug on them. I've got one gun in my house. That's it. I'm not that guy. I used to be. I go to the woods.
What you could do on your own property.
I go to the woods and I fall asleep in a stand now. It's pointless for me to do it. It's done. Also, I don't have Facebook, so I haven't blasted any of it. You're welcome. Anyways, so you're not gonna stop all of that stuff. So my one concern is, what's the next one? Are you gonna tell me I can't have what in my yard? Or
property manager gets attacked.
you know what I mean? Like, that was the only reason I complained about this the whole time, was because, all right, we're starting the infringement. Where does it stop?
I understand.
You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Just like the whole somebody speeding at night on a boat. Well, that doesn't mean I can't drive my boat. Like, I'm sorry, doesn't mean that.
I understand.
That's my concern with the whole thing, the whole community. You start this trickle down, you start this hill, and then your community goes to hell because half the people that are really supporting it go elsewhere. That's the only thing.
I appreciate it.
I'm out.
Ryan Mitchell, 278 Victory Hill. It sounds like the lake's gonna be lowered. I was one of them that came to a couple board members and wanted that. Are we gonna give enough notice to the community so we can get our contractors in place?
Well, that's one of the things we debate is, you know, do we put it off till next year to give that kind of notice? But it sounds like we're gonna do it anyway this year.
Right.
So now's your notice and we'll get the news out as soon as we can.
Okay, but usually contractors, you know.
I know. I
want a little bit of.
Thank
you.
And that's the reason why we want to get on a periodic
That's
schedule.
why we want to do a schedule, so we don't have that issue.
But I mean, we're not gonna be told the day before, right?
Oh, no, for
No,
this
we'll start
year?
posting
No.
that.
Hey, we're lowering it tomorrow.
No.
We're talking November 1st, right now.
If that changes, we'll let you know, but I think that's our goal right now. We'll give you plenty of notice.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to say one more thing. Directly, go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry, Donna was waiting.
It is my turn. Sit down. Sorry, I want this to end on a better note. I'm sorry Chris left, because he doesn't live in the same community I do. I don't know why he's so upset with this community. I think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Every day that I get up, I thank God that I'm here and that I was brought here, because I have many friends, people that take care of each other. We have food trains going on. We have people who are looking out for the homeless, for children. I was at Putnam County Community Night Out. Melissa was there. I've never seen so many needy people in my life, and you're worried about archery targets. I'm sorry, people are starving, kids are going hungry.
Food on
But
my
this
plate.
community, but this community is helping. And like I said, it's a different place. I don't know why somebody would say this is, I'm sure there's people watching that are new to the community, and I don't want them to think that this is the way it is, that we're fighting each other. You know, it's a wonderful place to live. I thank the board for putting up with everything, for your information, mine, anybody else. You come here month after month, and I know you're doing the best for all of us. And I thank you for watching out, not for only one person's welfare or rights, but the rights of the community. I think the community is important. That's why I enjoy being in the POA. So I can go to you and say, hey, this doesn't seem right, or you seem to tackle problems before they become really big issues. And I thank you for that. And again, this is a marvelous community. I just can't even tell you how great it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. All right.
Just one more thing on the, something directly to what Alyssa said earlier, in that no one has showed up here at these meetings. In March, when this was first brought to the table, there was standing room only.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
And
After
it was
that.
packed in here. And that's the one time that everyone was notified that this was going on. Because you stopped posting the agenda online, as far as I've been told.
No, it's
And
always
Rick
been on
Miller
the
even talked to my
agenda.
wife about it.
It's
that
not
the
been
person-
posted
that the
before the
IT person
meeting
was
since
not-
March.
Yeah.
March is the last time the
So,
agenda got posted on the Heritage Lake
people
site,
do
along with
care.
the meeting minutes have not been posted since March.
You can always pick up the phone and ask what's
People
on the
do-
agenda.
People do care about it.
I did ask Rick
In fact,
when it was gonna
we
get
just
posted.
handed you all a petition of people that have proposed it. No board member here has reached out to the community and got a petition going for this ban. Why haven't you reached out to the community and said, we'd like some outreach? What does the community think?
That's what what we do at these meetings. That's what we're here for.
Where is your petition that says that there's people that are for it? There isn't one. I know that there's people here that are for it. Why don't you have a community outreach? You're saying that we don't have one. I just presented it to you.
For the same reason, we can never get a quorum.
I understand that, and I
That's all
think
it
that
is.
that needs change as well. I'm all for the vote change on that, so. But, you know, to say that people didn't show up for this, that's false. We showed up in March and there wasn't.
Right, and I wasn't referring to that meeting. I
Well,
was
it's-
referring to afterwards.
Well, that's-
This has been
That's,
discussed at every
It's so
meeting
bad.
Well,
afterwards.
but then it got snuck
for
into
that
the
point.
security report. It wasn't on the
Oh, no,
agenda
it
as
was
an
never
business.
in the security
Yes, it
report.
was.
Yes, it was.
That was when I made the
Yes, when
presentation,
Denny
we
made his
did that as a
presentation,
time
it was-
courtesy for the officer that was here.
yeah, there's been deceit and keeping it under wraps the entire time. This board is corrupt.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
being ran by a rogue manager.
Really?
Wow.
Thank you for
Any
your
other questions,
Anyone else?
comments?
I think you're great.
Thanks.
You are
We have
great.
one more.
Make sure you
Last
guys pick up your
one,
petitions
last
to
one.
join the board.
Tim Matthews, 147 Patriots Lane. I'll admit, I usually come to one meeting a year.
Oh, good, you chose the right one, didn't you?
But I am in agreement with Rick. Please don't have 2 or 3 years in a row where we drain the lake. You know, let's get a schedule, set it up. We need more notice. But most of your docks, I did raise my hand. Who's building the walkway out there? Shannon?
No.
In-house.
Oh, in-house.
Shannon will be setting the poles and then we'll be
Who's
doing
driving
everything
the
else.
pipe?
Shannon.
Shannon, okay. So most of the docks that are being built, my dock, most of the docks around, they drive the pipe and then have the contractor do that. You know, it's not, Jim Bob's construction company that's doing this. But I just don't want, I personally, I'm on the lake all the time. You can tell it. I really don't want the lake to be closed, 2 or 3 years in a row. I think it hurts us, so that's my piece.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? All. Thank you.
Should we vote?